So I'm number 8 of 10 kids, right? So my mother was like, listen, y'all not gonna tear me up. And so she was on, birth control, but she got pregnant. And my mother was a little thing, probably like 98 pounds. And so what she said was, from the time she was 3 months pregnant, I was trying to be birthed into the world. She would be in the hospital, she would be going through, contractions and doing all sorts of weird stuff. I'm not a woman, I don't know how that process goes. But when she was 6 months, she went into labor. So I was born at 25 weeks. They said if I was born a day earlier, that I wouldn't have made it. And if I was born a day later, my mother wouldn't have made it. And my mother would always tell me, like, I got other babies, but you almost killed me. You gonna do something with yourself. And so growing up in the Bronx, I'm Cameroonian, so I got a in the house real African experience, and then outside is real different. So I'm trying to figure it out. So I don't lead with I do this or credentials because I don't need that type of stuff to validate me. I'm a lifelong learner, and I purpose myself on being a student of life. And so I study masters at their craft. And so I'm going to be sharing with you guys, and I want y'all to take notes. I'm gonna talk real slow for my S's and C's. I ain't gonna go too crazy. I'm gonna share with you guys the 4 phases of mastery. So I'm a certified behaviorist. I study behavioral psychology, but I'm just a person who's obsessed with becoming the absolute best version of myself. So I have this obsessive, monomaniacal, untamable desire to just be better. So I study grades. And what I realized is there's actually a path to mastering a habit. Now I want to make a distinction between a behavior and a habit. A behavior is an impulse. It's something that you do one time. And usually it's because there's an external stimuli of some sort. So something happens, you do something, right? So you ever think about being in school and they call you or you're with kids and they say, oh, this kid is misbehaving. Something happened, he responded, he or she responds, that's a behavior. But there's a gap between a behavior and a habit. So a habit is something that occurs subconsciously without effort and it's automatic. A behavior is isolated. A habit is a system that happens without effort. What we don't often realize is we can develop whatever habit we want. We can function without actually having to use cognitive energy. Some people that ascend and do great things, like, I'm from New York City, I love Hov, okay? I'm not gonna make it a secret. I'm probably the biggest Hov fan you ever seen in your life. Now, if you ever hear his story and he talks about not having to write rhymes, that's a habit he developed. So it started off, he was hustling in the street, and he'd be running around and he's getting money. He would go into the corner store, get a paper bag, and write down lyrics, boil it up, put it in his pocket. After a while, he couldn't really do that because he's moving around. So what he would have to do is just remember the rhyme. You sitting still, you might be in a spot, you ain't really doing nothing, you're serving, you're doing whatever, but he's building a habit of, I have to memorize this and put it together. So now, when he decides to become a recording artist, he's built muscle memory where he can just get in there, he listens to the beat. Anybody seen Fade to Black? Y'all remember Fade to Black? You ever see Jay's process? And he just be, and he whispers and he just goes in and does it in one take. He don't punch in, he don't do nothing. One take Hov. everybody in here has the capability to do that. So, now that I've made a distinction, let's get into the 4 phases. So everybody starts at a place of ignorance. Write this down. Awareness breeds choice. Awareness breeds choice. What I mean by that is you can't choose something that you're not aware of. Now this sticks to me a certain type of way because what I realized is I'm only functioning from a place of what I know now. And I have the ability to be true to myself and not be true to myself. If I'm not being true to myself, then I'm making choices that don't serve me on a consistent basis. If I am being true to myself, I'm making choices that do serve me, but it doesn't represent all of the choices that exist in the world. There are more choices out there that I'm not aware of. And I don't know about y'all, I'm a 99D, I'm not ever satisfied. I need more. I need more. So there's things that we know that we know. I know that my name is Dewane. I know that I know that. I know that Jeremy's name is Jeremy. Then there's things that I know that I don't know, right? I don't know how to speak Italian. I don't know rocket science, and I don't know what's at the depths of the ocean, and I'm not gonna find out. But then there's what we don't know that we don't know. And this is what's dangerous because you can't do anything about what you don't know that you don't know. Because you don't even know that you don't know it. So again, I said I'm Cameroonian. African parents have a way of like speaking in stories and idioms and like all of these crazy, you'd be like, what are you talking about? So one of the things my father told me, he told me, one, you always want to be able to have a conversation with somebody about something, regardless of where you are in the world. I was like, that's good advice. And then he told me the most dangerous thing that you could say to a person is, I know. I was like, oh, why? He said, because when you say, I know, people stop talking to you. Because you know. Now, here's what's so dangerous about that. When you say, I know, you stay trapped in the what you don't know that you don't know. So I want you to write this down. The very first level is unconscious incompetence. So you're incompetent, and you don't even know you're incompetent. This is ignorance. And some people say that ignorance is bliss, but I believe that ignorance is fatal. Somebody is dying because of your ignorance. Your ignorance can cause you to die. I grew up in an environment where you could not make mistakes because it could be life and death. So I need to know. I need to be on point. I need to be playing moves ahead. I need to be able to read what's happening. So I'm not satisfied with that. And what I realized, the secret to moving from phase 1, which is incompetent, which is unconscious incompetence, to the next phase was seek. Write the word seek. Now, some years ago, I was going through something, and I had a mentor. And my mentor would always tell me, seek the light. I'd be like, bro, what are you talking about? He'd be like, seek the light. I'm going to tell you to write down, seek the source. Next to that, I want you to write awareness. Remember I said awareness breeds choice. You need to get up every single day and seek the source of wisdom, knowledge, and information. There are a few people that I know, right, before I came to the current level of understanding that I have, that will wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to seek the Word of God. A mentor of mine, Dr. Eric Thomas, was one of them. Bro, what are you waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning for? We got all day for guys. Wakes up every day, probably for the last 20-something years, seeking God. The other person that I realized did that was Jeremy. Wakes up habitually, seeks the word, direction. That direction informs him, gives him awareness of what's going right, what's going wrong, the gaps that need to be filled, and now he can go about his day and make stuff happen. We tracking? So the very first step to build the bridge from ignorance, from unconscious incompetence, is awareness. You need to be getting around people that have information that you don't have. You need to be asking questions. You need to remain in the question. Somebody told me before that the dummy always wins. I was like, bro, first of all, I don't know what you talking about. I'm winning and ain't nothing dumb about me. And he's like, listen, when you walk into a room, sometimes you get in rooms and people don't want to share certain information with you. One, because you told them you know. They don't think you need the information, but a dummy doesn't know, right? Some people, you walk in spaces and they're intimidated by you. They don't want to share with you, right? We live in a capitalistic society where individualism is pervasive. I come from a country where we're collectivism. It's about a tribe. It's a sharing of food. We eat out the same bowl. We share. It's about the collective. But I live in a country that's not like that. So I got to protect my spirit and be around people who are of the same kind. But other people are intimidated by me. They don't want to share the information. Oh, he's doing this at this level. I don't need to tell him that. But if I presented as the dummy, yo, man, can you tell me about? Nobody feels threatened by a dummy. Now they're going to pour. And they're going to pour into you because it takes time to get information, process it, put a plan together, and execute. They're not thinking you're going to catch up and do anything. You ever heard of a wolf in sheep clothing? Nah, bro, what's that? Tell me about that. I know. I want to see what you know, though. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not satisfied. And I want more for myself, so I need to be aware of what other choices and options are out there so that I can choose that for myself. Phase 2. This is conscious incompetence. So you've become aware, and now you realize, oh, I'm not that guy. I don't know this. This is when you're cognizant of the fact that you don't know something. You know that there's a deficiency. This is where things begin to shift for you because you can choose to be a student, to learn, to ask questions. So think about all of the things right now. I want everybody to write down one thing that you know that you don't know that you need to know. Like, I don't want to just be talking to y'all like, what are we doing? You know that you don't know this, but you need to. This is conscious incompetence. At this point, and this is what separates people, there are some of us who are cool just not being good at something. Some of us who are satisfied. And then there are the rest of us who are allergic to average, who want more. Like, I'm not, man, can I be real? Like, this morning, we up, Jay hits me like, yo, bro, pull up to my room, like 8 o'clock, cool. I got a couple of minutes, I go get something to eat, I come up, Jay got food. Jay eating, and he keeps searching. I'm like, yo, bro, what you looking for? He like, I need some ketchup. He like, He keeps eating. I take like a spoonful of my oatmeal. I'm like, we all talking. I just pull my phone out. I look up the hotel. I call the front desk. I'm like, hey, we need some ketchup with the, and Jay like, nah, bro, I said, we need ketchup to room whatever, whatever. They brought the ketchup. He got his ketchup, we eating. Now somebody else, he's halfway through his meal at that point, but I don't know, but I just am not okay not having what's wanted and needed in my presence. Especially if I love you. Because I'm a real simple person. I'm kind of like a caveman, but if I love you, I'm going to run through a wall. It could be me and you, we could fight 1,000,000. That's just how I'm built. And because I want to take care of my people, remember I said I'm a way maker. Way makers make a way for themselves and then bring the rest with them. I'm a kid from the Bronx. There's nobody up here doing what I'm doing the way that I'm doing it. So I have a responsibility. And if it's resting on my shoulders, then I need to be the absolute best version of myself. So I'm asking questions. Yo, how you doing that? How you doing? I need more. Now the way you go from conscious incompetence to what's next, which is conscious competence. That's phase 3. The way you bridge the gap from conscious incompetence to conscious competence is training. So where seeking was what was required to get you from ignorance to awareness, training is what's required to make you become a competent individual. Now here's the thing about training. You have to be willing to embrace making mistakes. If you know, you can't learn. A man that knows cannot be taught. You stop growing. So whenever I think about training or development, I automatically think about Kobe, Mamba mentality. I grew up watching Mike. Mike's the GOAT. But I don't think there's anybody that has ever existed in any field of anything that works harder than Kobe Bryant did. Nobody. So I remember watching an interview of Kobe, and he was talking about how he grew and developed, right? So Kobe came in out of high school. I think he said he played 36 games in high school and then came to the league and had to play 82. And I don't know if y'all remember, but they played the Utah Jazz and he was shooting the air balls, right? And then Shaq came over to him and Kobe kind of like, Kobe said, oh, I realized that my legs went out. I didn't have legs to shoot jump shots no more because I wasn't used to the seasons being that long. So he said, I got to get back in the lab. So Kobe was interviewed, and it was like, my goal was to be the best possible basketball player ever. So what I need to do is to train as much and as often as possible. He said, so what I did is I noticed, and by the way, any of y'all seen details when Kobe was breaking down the schemes and the plays? He's different. He's different. Kobe said, so what I noticed was dudes would wake up at 10 o'clock and they would train from 12 to 2 and they go about their day, and then they would train again at like 6 to 8. Go to sleep, do it again. He said, what I did was, I woke up at 3 o'clock. Remember I just said waking up at 3 o'clock? He said, I'm gonna wake up at 3 o'clock. He said, I'm gonna train from 4 to 6, rest, let my body recover. I train again from 9 to 11. I rest, he got kids, he pick his kids up from school. I train again from 2 to 4. My body recovers, spend some time at the crib. And then I train again from 7 to 9. He said, just by waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was able to train twice as much as everybody else I competed with. He said, so what happened was by the time I got to my 5th and 6th year, I knew that there was no way they would be able to compete with me because I know I train more than you. I know that you're not putting up as many shots. I know you're not doing as many drills. And I don't know, like, Jay Williams said he was, he played against Kobe and he watched him play. He said Kobe was practicing doing in-game speed. Like he was practicing like he was playing in the game. He wasn't doing a little light. So this is why he can go off for 81. He could go break his finger, pop the joint back, and come back in the game and get busy. He could pop his Achilles, walk on the court, shoot the 2 free throws, and go sit down. Because I know I'm doing more than you. So I'm developing faster. I'm developing more. And not only that, I'm confident that I'm doing more than you. Jay Williams said he went to ask Kobe after the game, like, yo, bro, why was you practicing so hard? He said, because I saw you coming to the gym, and I just wanted you to know that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to work harder than you. Keep it funky. How many of y'all got that attitude about speaking? I'm just saying, right? So training, and I'm talking about training. I'm talking about like getting in the gym. Kobe said, I want to be the best basketball player in the world, and he trains 4 times a day. He's already amongst the top 300-400 players in the world. He's practicing 4 times a day. How much are you practicing on your craft? That's not counting watching game tapes. The crazy part, man, when Kobe passed with Gigi, man, like Gigi messed me up, like just as a father. What's crazy, Jay? Do you know why Kobe started flying in helicopters? Kobe told Vanessa, like, hey, when I'm home, I want to pick up the kids because I'm on a road. He said, but what I realized is when I went to practice, I would get caught in traffic on the way coming to the crib, so I couldn't get there in time. He said, so I realized I would save time by taking a helicopter there and back. He not only wanted to be the best basketball player, he wanted to be a present and participating father. And he was so dedicated to that he found a way to do both and. A lot of us feel like we got to do either or, like it's black and white. I want to tell you that you can have both and. So he figured out, I'm gonna get in this helicopter and hack my way to execution. And the very way that he passed was because of his level of mastery, him able to outthink his competition and his way to develop to get where he needed to go. I was like, man, if he was average, he'd probably still be alive. Wow. If he was average, he'd probably still be here because he'd be sitting in the back of a limo or a truck. But because he mastered what he was doing and he was dedicated and he wanted to be the best, regardless of the circumstance, he found himself in a situation no other player has ever been in before. Mastery has a cost.
Wow. That's how you bring it home.
Mastery has a cost. So let me tell you, when you get to conscious.
Hold on. Stay right there. Oh my God.
Mastery has a cost. Are you willing to pay it? And a lot of y'all gonna say yes, but don't tell me something out your lips that you're not living by. Because I can see through it. Like you gotta be built for that. And if you're not built for it, you better get your weight up real quick. A lot of people want mastery, but they're not willing to pay the cost. And if you are willing to pay the cost, you're gonna pay it one time. You know, like the gym has like the 1-day pass. You don't have a membership to mastery. So when we look at the assessment, right, and you see, I told y'all like you have natural and adaptive behavior. When when you arrive to conscious competence, you're only in your adaptive behavior. You've just arrived at adaptive behavior. Because the thing about conscious competence is, yes, I have developed the skill, but I still have to exert energy to do it. It's still taxing to my body. I gotta train. I gotta put reps in. One of the most powerful things I heard Kobe say, he said, an amateur is working to get it right, but a professional works to never get it wrong. He said an amateur is working to get it right, but a professional is working to never get it wrong. That's why I was training 4 times a day. That's why I was putting the work in. That's why I was hiring and chartering helicopters. That's why he was popping his finger back in pocket to get back on the... Kobe was a savage, bro. Different. Mike, nobody worked harder than Kobe. And he ain't just work hard, he worked smart. Conscious competence is, I gotta exert energy. It's gonna tax me, I gotta recharge, I gotta get back to it. And then you ascend to the next level. This is level 4. So if I'm conscious of my competence now, so I've graduated. I went from unconscious incompetence, and then I went to conscious incompetence, and I started training. I got my weight up. Now I'm at conscious competence. So I'm doing my due, but I can feel it. It pains me, right? I'm tearing muscles. I'm stretching myself. I'm uncomfortable. The next level is unconscious competence. I don't think about it no more. It's just what I do. I ain't met one person that had to think about taking a breath. It's involuntary. Remember I told you, like, I was born a preemie? I was born with asthma, so I know what it's like not to be able to breathe. I know what it's like not to have air and want air. There is no feeling like not being able to breathe when you want to. So unconscious competence is the level we all should aspire to. Right? That's the level of mastery. When you reach unconscious competence, that means you don't have to exert any energy. It's just what you do. And all you need to do is be right once when you get there. If we don't tell Jay to get off the stairs, Jay will sit here and talk to you for 3 hours. 3. That's what he does. Some people say this is what I was born to do, but he didn't come out of his mother's womb speaking. Right? There was ingredients. He had a story, the ADHD, the energy, and then he cultivated something. There was a gift that was cultivated. What you need to do to go from conscious competence to unconscious competence is practice. Practice? Time about this. Yo, Kobe was so crazy. They was interviewing AI, and they was interviewing T-Mac, and they said Kobe, like they all was around the same age, same draft class. Kobe would link up with you, hey, yo, bro, I'll pick you up from the airport. What you about to do? And I was like, I'm about to go to the club and get busy. Kobe was like, word? All right, I'm going to go with you. And went to the gym to go work out. Like, he was getting any competitive advantage he could so he can get more reps in than everybody else. He went out to eat with T-Mac, who was like his rival in his prime, his rival in his day. They go out to eat there, whatever. Hey, what you about to do? Yeah, I'm about to go to the gym. No, Kobe says, I'm about to go to sleep. He drops T-Mac off at the hotel, acts like he's going to go to sleep and goes to the gym to work out. Could you imagine seeing a 13-year-old trying to tell you a joke? First of all, how much life experience do you have to tell me a joke? Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's paying them attention. They drinking. They doing grown folk stuff. The kid showed up every single week from the time he was 13. And he told 1 minute worth of comedy. By the time he was in high school, he had developed 5 minutes worth of comedy. He still went every single week. By the time he graduated, when he was 19, he had developed 20 minutes worth of a set. He went every single week. Remember I said perspective changes people. It took him another 10 years, and then he became a regular on the Tonight Show and the Late Night Show. Would show up on things like SNL. 10 years after that, so we talking from 10, he probably like 29 right now. Every single week, he would do more until he developed an hour. And at this point, he started to go on tours. When he started doing tours, he did like a 60-city tour in 63 days. He did a 72-city tour in 80 days and an 80-day tour in like 90 days. Practice. Y'all remember I told you the kid was performing in the club when nobody was in there? And just did 1 minute. He went on to become one of the most successful comedians of his time. Anybody want to know what his name is? Steve Martin. Anybody know who Steve Martin is? Steve Martin is one of the most decorated comedians there is. So some of y'all think like, oh, he just got funny. What I studied was, one, he was consistently practicing every single week. Live. He wasn't in his shower telling jokes. He was in front of people. So what he would do, right? So now I really started reading into him. What he started to do was, what he said was, when I was developing my 1 minute set, I would tell the same jokes. And I would see which made people laugh really loud and which ones they ignored. And I would come the next week and I would experiment with a new joke. I would keep the jokes that made them laugh and try out new material. And I would keep building up a minute worth of laughs. I developed an hour set of laughs by working 1 minute at a time. 1 minute at a time. One joke at a time. He said it took him 10 years of experimenting with jokes to get a set. And it took him 4 years of refining the set. And 4 years to get it right, to get it to success. Now, some of y'all might be good at math. That's 18 years. It took him to reach success. That's to get it right. That's just to do a stand-up, like a special. Remember, Kobe said the amateur works to get it right, but the professional works to never get it wrong. It took him 18 years of practice. How long are y'all practicing every day? How long are y'all practicing every week? Every month? How many reps are you getting in? And when I say reps, I mean refine what you do. Expand what you do. And P is produce. How many reps are you getting in? What are you giving birth to? What are you shipping every single day? Steve Martin worked his way into probably some Hall of Fame 1 minute and one joke at a time. Anybody in here working their way to be the greatest speaker in the world, one line at a time, one cadence, one pause at a time? How committed are you to your craft? That's mastery. And let me tell you something. When you arrive at mastery, the cycle repeats because there's always a new level. And so the cycle starts again because you have reflection and you have exposure. And when you sit in reflection and exposure, you know where you get to? Unconscious incompetence. This is a never-ending cycle. The Goldilocks rule is the key to becoming a master at any behavior. The Goldilocks rule is the key to becoming a master of habits. If I went and played tennis against my daughter, I would smoke her. She's not gonna beat me. It's too easy. If I play Serena right now, she's gonna do me nasty, right? It's too far of an example. It's too far of an extreme, right? I play chess. If I go play a kid in the park, I'm gonna dust him off. If I go and play Magnus Carlsen, who's the greatest chess player to ever live, I'm not going to win. Magnus Carlsen plays 100 moves ahead. 100. I might play 5. Magnus Carlsen played 10 people. Magnus Carlsen played 10 people at the same time, blindfolded with his back to them, and won every single game. That's mastery. So before I close, listen, wanting to improve your life is cool, but actually doing something about it is different. And wanting interrupts being. So I want you to commit to being a master of your craft and unlocking your unconscious competence. My time.
Give it up, give it up, give it up. Man. 45-minute conversation. Wasn't that impressive?
No notes.
You know what I'm saying? Straight from the dome.